meet them about one of Mujahed's tweets, which like literally every time I think about it, it makes me laugh. Do you know which one I'm thinking of?
No, which one?
there was like an image of like a I don't remember what it was. It was like a cartoon of a plane like landing kind of into a house or like flying into a house, and you tweeted, "This is cultural appropriation, and I will not stand for it."
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, Habibi.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
And I'm Batya Bibi.
Welcome, Batya Bibi. We are the Habibi Bros. Jay is dead. I'm sorry. He died while taking a shit. It was so massive, his basically went septic. This is why we use stool softener. How are you, Batya? Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I'm so happy to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's been a minute. It's been 6 months, I think, since we last had you on the show.
Totally. But you and your family, everybody's in good health?
Everything's in great health, and you?
Good. Yes. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Yeah, you brought Alhamdulillah. You brought the tinfoil hat. I gotta credit you for that. For those of you who are not aware, Batya Ungar-Sargon is still deputy opinion editor at Newsweek, correct?
Correct.
Oh wow, man!
I know.
Can't believe I got it.
I can't believe I'm still there.
Yeah. And she's been on Habibi Power Hour twice before and hasn't been fired. So that tells you everything you need to know about where Newsweek is heading. So you can find her on Twitter at B Ungar-Sargon. And she's also the author of Bad News, How Woke Media is Undermining Democracy. Did I get that full title right?
Oh my God, like totally perfect.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I actually read it this time. I actually read it the last time. So
yeah.
How you been? How's everything in the wretched Northeast, commie New York, or commie York?
Commie York. Commie York is it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just watched Tucker Carlson and he made it seem a lot worse than I thought it was. So now I'm
okay, because I saw it too. Let's unpack that.
Yeah, let's unpack that. What did you make of it?
So his opening monologue focused on how Republicans don't want to win in November, and I don't know if I've heard anyone say that before, but honestly, when I think about it, given how mediocre a lot of the candidates are, just how overall bad some of these candidates are, yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like they don't want to win.
Yeah, he was basically arguing that they have two like home runs, like the chaos at the border, like the lack of law and order there, and then the rising crime. And he's like, why aren't they running on any of this stuff?
Do you think they should be running on it?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Look, I live in Florida now, and I
didn't know that. When did you move to Florida?
Last year. I've literally every single show we've done, I've done from Florida.
What? I thought you were in DC. I
left DC last year.
Oh my God. Okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
How is are you now like a total DeSantis stan? Are you like
I wouldn't call myself a DeSantis stan, but I do think he has done a better job at governing than any other state I've lived in.
What don't you like about him then?
Oh, I just don't simp for any politicians.
Yeah.
Good. So, well, look who's back from the dead.
Oh, look who's here.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamu alaikum.
Did you see? Batya brought her kufi.
Her kufi, and we got our kafayas.
We got our kafir. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, look at that kafia. Wow.
Oh man, she even said it better than I did. Shit.
Wow.
Jai,
She's really.
that's like that's the kind of thing that they used to put in like ads for the PLO to get like white college educated co-ed women to like
Ooh.
Exactly
simp for the Palestinians in the 70s.
That's what they did.
That's what they do. Yeah.
That is. I mean, this one is actually the same one that was used in a anti-terrorist commercial in Abu Dhabi. They used to run these things. You gotta see these commercials. They ran them in like 2008 and stuff, talking about how being a terrorist is not good in the name of Islam and stuff. And it says it could be anyone, it could do anything. Don't think that you're alone and all this stuff, and end up like this guy. And it's a picture of a guy who's bald with C4 around him, about to blow up in his school. I'm not even joking. It's like instead of like these anti-drug.
Oh my god, that's hilarious!
You got to go find
it's
it.
It's kind of like the Dare commercials that they used to have here.
Yeah.
So it's like dare not to blow yourself up.
That's incredible.
It was bad.
So good, so good.
And wait, so
good.
this is an original kafia from one of those ads?
No, it's like it. So I got it.
It's an original because Jay was the star of that ad.
Well, if you look at what the guy looked like, I'm not even joking. I'll send it to you right now. I'm not even joking.
Okay,
I did
so
this,
Jay, get that because we were talking about. I know you probably weren't watching Tucker, but he had an interesting theory about whether the Republicans were actually trying to tank in November, whether they're intentionally trying to lose in November. It's an interesting theory.
Well, I mean, anything that they do in order to like back Trump as much as they're doing, or putting
just like their quality of
crazies.
candidate, just their quality of candidates are just like
it's just so bad.
They're not running on any issues that actually are winning issues, like talking about immigration or crime.
And they're just talking about the election in 2016. That's it. That's all they're talking about. And it's
you could barely multitask, Jay. Let's multitask and talk to
2020.
Mary.
I apologize. I apologize.
Batya, it was her birthday. It was her birthday on Wednesday.
Oh my God! Happy birthday, Mary!
Yes. Mary says, Batya, love the book and been sharing it with others. You are a gem. Welcome back, Habibti.
Thank you.
Yeah, she is a gem. She gave the greatest gift to the world, and that is Jay, aka
absolutely,
totally.
That was the stepping. Her birth was a stepping stone to awesomeness.
This is true.
This
is true. Her true purpose in life was giving birth to Jay.
So there's this theory that the Republicans are basically like controlled opposition. I hear this from like a lot of working class folks. Like nobody's representing our interests. The left hates us, but the right doesn't actually want to govern. They just want to go on Fox News and complain. And so the 100%. Worse things are in the country, like the better it is for them. I've heard that theory. Yeah.
There is also another theory about how there's like a class of professional losers, like not in the sense of like they're living in their like parents' basement and they're unemployed. I mean, like they stand to gain the most by not winning elections. So.
Right.
It's
it's almost and you see that with like when Dems were after 2016. That's all Democrats did is complain about Trump. They never really wanted to push anything that's going to help.
Even never Trump
food on your table or anything.
Yeah.
Right. You look at someone like AOC, and it's like her big piece of legislation, the Green New Deal. I think even she only voted present on it. It was like the whole point of everyone voted no, and she voted present. Like the whole idea is to like push the Overton window, but not actually legislate. You know, it's all about this like war of ideas. But when it comes down to like actually doing stuff, it's only like the mansions of the world who still want to get anything done.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh my God. Oh God. I got to add this to the stream. Of course, I got to do it. He finally sent me the image.
I finally found it. Yeah.
Yeah, he finally found it. So, so Republicans have turned into the professional loser class, which honestly, if they lose in November, which is definitely a strong likelihood, they really have no one to blame but themselves.
Right.
And
it was theirs to lose.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But real quick, Batya, since we have you here, are you still a socialist?
It's very tricky because.
So that's a no.
Like, you say words and they have different connotations to different people.
Wait, that's true. But I mean, you did say you were.
Yeah, we have it on the record.
I said I'm a socialist, and then recently I've been saying I'm a Marxist. But then, like, conservatives get so mad at me for saying that because they think I mean like cultural Marxism, but I don't. I mean what, like, I mean,
Stalin did.
Well, I think there should be a centralized economy, but like I don't think that like work is inherently exploitative, But like I agree. I'm a Trump socialist. Like I think Trump was a socialist.
So you're a Trump socialist. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah.
This is interesting. I like this. So basically, because you did have a lot of, I think, good points that especially Tucker Carlson liked, because a lot of them are also talking about, class warfare.
Yeah, exactly.
And they agree a lot on that, especially when we see how big tech has gotten and stuff. Like they don't really see it in a lot of different corporations and everything, but they use the same thing when it's tech, the media, entertainment industry, those type of industries. They really go into it of elitism, classism, and stuff. And you really do see it.
Totally. That's like total contempt the elites have for the working class. It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. Like for the average American, they really, really hate it. Like there's like this distaste and this disgust, and like half of what they say about Trump is just a reflection. Did you guys see the Sam Harris thing?
I did.
Did you see it,
let's a quick recap. So what happened with Sam Harris is that he went on trigonometry, and he basically, the exact quote, let me see if I can pull it up. Actually,
wow, Jay, you actually do work for a living. You were like too busy doing productive labor to see this.
I was working really. I have a job that takes all my time, compared to just what you see online, where I'm shit posting like a bum who lives in a Russian basement somewhere. That's not what I do. If they paid as well as they did of what I'm doing right now, I would do that in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Okay. So number of things from the Sam Harris interview. I don't know if you happen to have seen it. We could play a clip if you want, but like we could just
let's play it so Mujahed can see it.
Okay, all right. Hold on 1 second.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. All right.
Here we are.
Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickback from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right, or China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in.
We know. I like how he's using these words of saying like we know, and he's saying even if we found out and know about Hunter Biden, then I don't give a shit because we know that we don't know about what's happening on. Yeah, that's it. And it's funny watching Sam Harris do this, because he catches.
This is a guy who is a proud atheist and knows all this shit. Yeah.
Right. Well, but also when he's arguing with people, he catches people going into this loop of fallacy that he's going into himself. Mm-hmm. You can't say that the corruption that we can find out on Hunter should be squashed just because I don't like this candidate. Totally. And when you go back and look at Trump's candidacy, like the way they speak about it and the way he's talking about it, it sounds like that he was rounding people up and murdering them every single fucking day.
Which he was, right, Jay? He was 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he was taking kickbacks from Russia, and he had all the corruption in the world, he lost more money than he made money during the presidency. None of the stuff that they try to they just try to trick themselves into thinking that what they're saying is morally sound when they're both corrupt as shit. You can't just say one or the other. You can say both are fucking corrupt. And I am voting for Biden because I don't like Trump.
All right, so let's watch the rest of it. Let's watch this. This is Jay's. This is Jay. I'm gonna have to like mute the fuck out of Jay because he can never shut the fuck up.
It's good stuff.
Every time we watch a clip, it's part of his brand. It's part of his brand.
We know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun.
Look at their faces.
It doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop. Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York
How can
Post
he even say
Twitter
this?
account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was absolutely right, but I think it was warranted.
Oh,
What
the fuck?
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
Fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power
to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon.
It's so amazing watching him like fumble completely on trying to be logical and sound and have a morally sound argument on why what he's saying is justified. It's amazing. It's like watching him speak to like a sheikh or a priest or something, like when in his old days when you watch him do it, he would just sit back and let them do what he's doing now.
Okay, right. So I actually DM'd him after this and said, if you want to write something for Newsweek explaining what you were trying to say, we'd be happy to publish it. He didn't write back, but maybe he will. I hope he will. But here's my question,
you're just so nice, like even to Sam Harris. Hold on.
Wait, but my question is this: is like, so my friend Charles Stallworth, who's like a blue collar guy, right, like through and through. He sent me this clip. That's how I first heard about it, and he said to me, how does a person get here? What is you guys' answer to that? Like, he's a smart guy, right? He's got a big IQ, like you're saying, John.
Big brain. He's big brain.
He knows exactly how to, like when other people are doing this, he could call it out. So how does a person who's smart end up saying this kind of thing?
It's politics. It's tribalism. It's your team and stuff. I mean, we watched like smart mega people turn themselves into pretzels and defending whatever was coming out of the presidency. Mm-hmm. Like we saw that happening, and you're seeing him do the exact same thing with the Hunter story and with Biden's presidency. It's a strange drug that they take. He cannot back down into anything that will give a win to the other side. Even though the economy is saying.
To be fair, we should read his clarification, right? He uploaded a clarification to Twitter.
Okay,
this was the number one trending topic on Twitter today.
Was it? I didn't even know. I didn't even get on Twitter at all today. I posted. I reposted the thing about Brian Stelter being ousted, the fucking piece of shit. Anyway,
we'll get to that in a moment. So Sam Harris on Twitter, he posted, there is a podcast clip circulating that seems to be confusing many people about my views on Trump, which is understandable because I wasn't speaking very clearly. So for what it's worth, here's what I was trying to say. I was essentially 100% arguing for a principle of self-defense where there is a continuum of proportionate force that is appropriate and necessary to use. I've always viewed Trump as a very dangerous person to elect as president of a fake university, let alone the U.S. And when
they dropped down to his level. They dropped down to his level with this shit.
Yeah, like no one's even thinking about like an evade. No one's literally no one but Sam Harris is thinking about Trump University.
Isn't
literally
that
no
Trump's like greatest one of his greatest strengths is that he is able to somehow force his opponents to meet him at his level. As the lower he sinks, the lower they'll go to meet him. Like
it's so
that's
fucking
a
crazy.
real superpower, you know? Like
it really is.
It's like a real superpower.
A drug. TDS, it's real. It really is real. All right. So, and when he became a sitting president who would not commit to a peaceful transfer of power, I viewed him as more dangerous still. However, I've never been under any illusion that he is Orange Hitler. On the podcast, I was speaking narrowly about the wisdom and propriety of ignoring the Hunter Biden laptop story until after the election. I've always thought that this was a very hard call ethically and journalistically. But given what happened with the Anthony Weiner laptop in the previous election, I think it was probably the right call. Nothing I said on that podcast was meant to suggest that the Democrats would have been right to commit election fraud or take other illegal measures to deny Trump the presidency, nor do they think they did that. Okay, so since we're on the topic about this whole grand conspiracy of basically trying to thwart a president from being reelected, let's take that dive right here. So, did he just basically give the game away, Batya?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, like it's not even worth the hat. It's the truth.
It's not even worth the hat. Because this is actually real.
This is real.
Here's the thing. It's so clear that this has nothing to do with ethics. It has nothing to do with politics. It is all about class, right? So when like lower class people feel like the election has been stolen, like 10,000 out of 72 million show up on the lawn. And then of those 10,000, 800 break windows and commit, acts of trespassing, right? Like that's their act of, but when you're in the elites, you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to go to a protest. You don't have to show up on the lawn. You don't have to break any windows because you freaking control Twitter. And when you control Twitter and you control all of the 98% of journalism, 96% of journalists are liberals, are Clinton voters. You don't have to get your hands dirty because you can do and this is not even a conspiracy, right? That he's literally endorsing what they did, which was try to prevent Trump from winning by withholding information from the public, right? Like, yes, so right. It's like, but you see what I'm saying about how it's a class divide. It's not an ethical divide. It's not that one side cares more about democracy than the other. It's that one side's way of undermining democracy is much more genteel because they control the levers of power.
Right. They are already in the establishment. They already get exactly you say. They control the levers of power. So they're literally, flipping those levers as quickly and as strategically as they can to ensure that they remain in power. Jay. Right.
Well, I mean, we saw that all through 2016. I mean, until now, Hillary says that it was stolen from her. That she didn't win because exactly, and that Russia hacked the election. That was huge for 2 years. For 2 years,
66% of Democrats believe that.
But
and that was
here,
2 years.
I want to push back on that because Batya, since we this is not like a tinfoil hat moment because I want to ask you, have you ever seen? There's this documentary on HBO called Kill Chain. Have you ever seen it?
Kill Chain
came out in 2020. I'd say February or March.
Blockchain, which is one of those things that every time someone explains it to me, it goes in one ear, not the other.
It's not about. It has nothing to do
with crypto.
Nothing to do with crypto. It is 100%. It's all about. It's
I really
actually
hate being lectured about crypto. Tell me about it.
I mean, Batya, I will absolutely bore you to death about crypto because I know nothing about it either. But this is specifically a documentary about election integrity and election fraud, but it's made from the liberal perspective, and it is basically the central argument of the documentary again election was that the 2016 election was rigged,
Oh my God! It's the 2,000 Mules of the left. This is
but this is so good. But no, it gets better because it specifically focuses on the electronic voting machines.
God. And how Putin.
No. It has nothing to do with not even Putin. It doesn't even have to. Like, it literally shows how easy it is to hack
and change the votes,
an electronic voting machine, and change the ballots. They did this in 2020, and this came out in March 2020. You have like Mark Warner, Amy Klobuchar, like those. They were in the documentary, so it's not like it's like a fringe thing. It's not a fringe thing. It was on HBO. It's still on HBO. When the 2020 election was happening, like in the midst of that whole like election like integrity battle from Trump, they took that shit down. They took it down, and now it's back up.
Yeah. And the same arguments that the right was making and some megas were making and stuff like that from the movie.
It's the fucking considered for how 2020 went down.
It's now considered that you're a conspiracy theorist, an undemocratic conspiracy theorist.
If I don't get like completely like censured with like copyright strikes and like lawsuits, I would totally just do like a stream, like a watch party of this film, just because it's every single time I like think about it, I'm like, holy fuck, we like it. All the signs were there.
Yeah.
Now I'm not even confident that any election where electronic voting machines were used was ever considered fair or legitimate. Right. That includes 2016, 2012, 2008. How we're back farther ago, even to the all of it. I really have no idea.
The whole thing.
Really, but I don't think we've had a legitimate election probably until like the 80s, maybe. I don't know.
It's so good. It was showing. No, I was just saying it was showing all the arguments that people have made against like electronic voting, against voting by mail. All of this stuff was on there, and it was just targeting the left, the left audience. Yeah. So it's insane. They think the same thing. They think the same, 100%. Whether you're on the left or on the right. Totally. You think the same thing. When you lose, it is rigged. When you lose, it's some outside thing. And it's so funny because you have the same blue check journalists who are like up in arms about democracy and all this stupid shit after 2020 were themselves in 2016 questioning the fucking election.
They're the worst. I tweeted after the FBI raid. After the warrant was released, I was like, okay, now America, every American has as much information as every nincompoop cosplaying as like an expert on Twitter or on cable news. Just make up your own minds about what this means and how big the security threat is, because you have as much information as they do. You should have seen, I got ratioed so hard by the blue check because they can't stand when you're like, you guys don't actually have any expertise. It's all a farce. But to the point of the double standard, there was this piece in this Substack by this guy. I think he's called N.S. Lyons. I don't know if you guys read this guy. I think it's a pseudonym. But he made this really good point. He said, we all get so angry about the hypocrisy. We're like, God, the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. There's such hypocrites. And we're exposing it. And that's how we're going to get the power back for the little guy. We're going to expose their hypocrisy. And he was like, no, they love when you expose their hypocrisy, because hypocrisy proves how much power they have. Like, the point of the hypocrisy is not to be hidden. It's to be blatant, because it shows, when we do it, we get away with it. And when you do it, you get caught and you go to jail. And like, he's like, they're not trying to hide that. They want you to notice that, because it proves the class difference. You're the schmo who gets caught and pays for it. And we're the people who are so above the law that we get away with it. That was the argument. Right. What do you guys think about that?
It's like an abusive relationship where the person just lies and lies and lies to you, and you catch him in his lies, but he turns it around with his friends and makes it look like you're the crazy person. Like the reality you're in is wrong. The reality he's in with his friends is right.
Right.
So
let's actually I found that ratio tweet that Batya just referenced.
Jesus, they really went after you. Holy shit!
I know, and you have to understand. I tweeted this 2 hours before Shabbat, and then I log off for 26 hours. I was like, wow, I'm not gonna have a job after Shabbat. I prayed pretty hard in the synagogue.
This is why this is the great thing about Shabbat is that you don't have to think about it after. You can literally go on for the entire day not thinking about that. That's beautiful. But this is the tweet. It's the job of every American to make up their own mind about how serious former President Trump's security breach was. Don't let pundits or politicians tell you what to think. They don't have more information than you do now. Read everything available and decide for yourself. That is just fucking incredible that you would get a ratio for that take.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Tom Bitch Nichols probably tried to quote tweet it or something.
Totally. He was like,
he did, right? Yeah, he's such a fucking tool. Yeah, he is such a fucking tool.
Replies. I was like, how am I not beneath your notice? Oh yeah, there's always like a little bit of but
why do they do that? Like, I've never understood trolls. Like, they use your profile pic.
I mean, your profile pic looks great. I mean, you're very pretty. I mean, it's not like
vampire, or I look like I'm about to eat them, or I look like
even better. Who doesn't like vampires?
And it's just because that's just because you're Jewish, Batya. It has nothing to do with your looks.
Oh God, so true.
And right after you went to Shabbat.
Somebody once said I look between. Wait, what was it? Oh yeah. I told you guys someone was once like, she looks like a cross between Fran Fine and Golda Meir. Do you guys know who Golda Meir is? She was like the Israeli prime minister.
Oh, okay.
And
Israeli
Fran Fine from the 70s, and then the nanny. And I was like, wow, that is so flattering, because that's literally like my entire personality is like
beautiful. I like to lean into it, Batya. You let that shit roll off your back. I respect it. I love it.
No, you guys know that line from do you guys watch oh God, what's it called? Rick and Morty?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so you remember that scene? This is like the best scene in the whole show. Was like, I forget what it was, but like there was some sort of like competition. Everybody was booing Rick, like all of these these hordes of aliens, and he turned around and he said to them, "Your boos mean nothing to me because I've seen what makes you cheer." That is my Twitter mantra.
I fucking love
so
it.
Beautiful.
That's so good. Yeah. That's so good. It's beautiful.
It's
so beautiful.
That's from the heist episode. That's like he goes to a heist. He goes to a heist convention, and it says that line in front of the crowd. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. Or like every single time you boo me, like it raises my self-esteem. Like that's the that was another quote I remember. Real quick before we get to talking about sort of like Afghanistan 1 year later, because big news obviously happening in the world of cable news, CNN. Brian Stelter is leaving CNN as Reliable Sources, which is the longest running show on CNN. It's been 30 years running, is canceled. Batya, you've been on the show.
I know.
How does it feel to see as soon as you go on that show, it gets canceled?
So in my religion, being grateful to someone who's done you a good turn is a really big deal. So I can't say anything negative about Brian.
That's fine.
What's it called? That skit, Jay and Pill, like Obama's translator.
Yeah.
I'll be Batya's translator.
And he literally looks like the anger translator too. Just look at him.
Oh no, you're much better looking than he is.
Yeah, probably, but he is. He's that boyish charm. But Batya, what were your thoughts? I mean, like it had to have been kind of surreal, right?
I feel very grateful. I was able to slip in. You know, I saw Zed Jelani today tweeting that like the Virginia election of Glenn Youngkin was like a real Rubicon. And honestly, it's really funny because all the Republicans had to do was like follow his lead and they would have cleaned up. And of course, they're not doing that because they're controlled opposition. But so that was when I was able to slip into CNN for the one and only time, was like Glenn Youngkin won and all the Democrats were like, oy, what are we doing wrong? Get some other voices in here. Who's this girl? She seems to have a theory, right? So I was able to slip in, but I'm very, very, very grateful that, you know, Brian Stelter booked me and had me on, and he got kind of He got mean to me on Twitter after that, but I never like because I
really
felt like he would like tweets when people would be really mean to me.
Oh really? Oh, those are the worst. I hate that passive. Batya. No, hold on. I got anger translation for her. You passive aggressive cunt.
Exactly right. Exactly. He's such a coward. That is amazing.
I can say I'm very grateful that he had me on. I didn't approve of the kind of journalism he did. I felt that his show was supposed to be
a
like
schmuck, basically
a critique of journalism, but all he ended up doing was kind of like justifying.
Right, because he's a coward piece of shit. Go ahead. He's a little bitch clown, basically.
Doing great translating.
Translation from Batya right now is that he's a little bitch clown.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story though.
100% authentic.
I've always felt like I should only say nice things about him because he did me that big solid. Whatever he did to me after, like I'm very grateful. But the first time I went on Tucker Carlson, I got on and the camera turned on, and you suddenly can see your face, and then the chyron underneath it. I never told you guys this story.
No.
Oh, this is great. Let's hear it.
So Tucker had introduced me before the break as like the journalist who schooled Brian Stelter. And I come on like and you have no control over what they're doing
so
around
good.
your face, but I come on and the chyron underneath my face says journalist who schooled CNN eunuch. And I just felt really terrible. I mean, I was so grateful to be on Tucker, and I was so grateful to have been on Brian Stelter, but I felt so awful that like Stelter
did you a solid,
and then
Tucker did you two solids right then and there. Insulting him, insulting Brian Stelter the way you wish you could actually doing it.
That was literally the anger Tucker's chyron editor was the anger translator that you needed.
Exactly.
It was
But for him liking tweets of people dunking on you, I'd say he deserves that.
Yeah, a little bit.
That. Yeah,
I think so too.
But I don't think he's ill-intentioned. It was just he was poorly suited to.
He's a true believer. He's a true believer in what he says. He is 100% a true believer in what he says.
Yeah.
I hate that argument that people have, like when we're talking about these people, that they have good intentions. They don't.
No, I'm not talking about his intentions. I'm telling you, he is a true believer. He thinks what he is doing is righteous.
No, I don't even think that. I don't think he's that dumb.
I can tell you.
He's manipulative, and he's an evil piece of shit. He is. I'm telling you, he is. He's not that dumb.
He is. He does
not have good intentions. When you're in a position like that where he's in, and you're supposed to be critiquing the media the way your job description says you're supposed to be, he's doing it on purpose. And then
but someone who's that evil,
checks push that narrative out.
I'm just going to push back on this and say, look, anyone who is that evil is at least smart enough to go, basically be able to adapt and survive. Brian Stelter was not able to do that. He got caught on the chopping block with CNN. You would think that he would at least try to adapt and survive. He didn't. That's because he's a true believer. And that makes him an idiot, but also he truly believes that what he's doing is righteous, even though he's a moron. And like he obviously, you and I know that he has purely discredited the journalism industry and CNN
absolutely
as well.
But also, he was encouraged by Zucker.
Yeah. That's
he was encouraged by Zucker. He was pushed by Zucker, and they were there to manipulate the news. That's the only explanation you can really push forward. And when people try to tell you that the media is unbiased, that nobody tries to control the narrative, it is all bullshit. And we saw it plain as day with Zucker and how he got ousted. And the fact that is not bigger news on every fucking headline in Washington Post, New York Times, Fox, every single news agency is a stain on journalism in itself. You still have journalists out there saying that Zucker was great for the industry when he is one of the main reasons why the public think so shitty of people who call themselves journalists.
So my question to you, Batya, since we're all wearing glasses now, is this does the CNN does CNN replace Stelter with someone in that slot who maybe could make a difference? I mean, Batya, if CNN came knocking on your door and they said, will you host Batya Sources? What do you say to that?
No, I would definitely say yeah. I mean, nobody would say no to that. Nobody would say no to that job. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think CNN would host Habibi Power Hour?
No, I mean, I feel like they kind of, it's very interesting to see where they go from here because like you look at the New York Times, okay? The New York Times went the same trajectory as Zucker and Stelter, right? It went all in for the woke progressive elite, right? Like started programming purely for them. And you can tell that there's like discomfort within the institution with that, but they're not going to change gears because they're making millions of dollars off of having gone, broke for woke, right? Like they're making a lot of money off of that. The problem with CNN was they went all in on the Zucker model. And then after the Trump era, it fell off, like the profits fell off. Yeah. And so that was why there was so where are they going to go from here? I mean, like their ratings right now are abysmal. I actually really don't like the way that people crow about that. The way there was a lot of like independent media types who were like, sort of dancing on the graves of CNN Plus. I thought that was really tasteless. Like that's like there was like thousands of like working class people who lost their jobs over that. And it's like, you can say, I don't like the kind of journalism this person did without like calling him a eunuch. You can say, I don't like the kind of journalism this person does without dancing and crowing about their low ratings or whatever. But it's like, okay,
I love the crow. It's delicious. It's so delicious. They knew what they were signing up for. Like they knew what they were signing up for, and what CNN Plus was going to be is just another long streak shit stain on the underwear that journalism is. That's what it was going to be. It was going to do more harm to the name of journalism than good. So if for the greater good.
But we can't.
I dance on the grave.
Okay, yeah, but we got it. The problem with journalism is a lack of compassion. Like the problem is a lack of seeing the humanity in people you disagree with, right? Like that's the real problem. When you get down to the fundamentals, it's like the contempt for the average American, right? Okay, there's this book. Everyone should read it.
Oh, I thought you were going to reach for your book.
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, they should.
Have you guys read this book? I never read this. I read this book.
No, I haven't.
Tom Wolfe, Radical Chic. I'll check it out.
It's 70 pages long. And he argues that...
too long. It should be 69 pages.
Exactly.
It is.
Nice.
I rounded up. He has this argument, and it goes like this. He says that, like, so how do elites have to reproduce their elite standing, right? Like the whole point of being elite is showing that you're part of the elites and getting the worship and respect of everybody else. So how do they do that? Well, the thing you have to do as an elite, especially a professional level elite, right? Like the kind of elite who's like in the media or the kind of elite who's in academia, who's like just above like upper middle class, right? Making maybe like a combined income of $300,000 between two professionals, right? So they're like the above middle class, right? So how do they show that they're part of the elites? They have to distinguish themselves from the middle classes. That's the number one thing they have to do with every fiber of their being, show how they are above the middle classes, right? So how does that express itself today? Well, today it expresses itself by people showing how distant they are from like average middle class views. The problem is that in America today, the middle class has finally realized, like for the first time in American history, that like racism is bad, sexism is bad. Yeah, like suddenly.
Really?
Yeah, the American middle class, the working class, like the average American is totally now on board with the idea that every human must live in dignity and we should treat everyone with dignity. So where does that leave the elites, right? How do they show that they're better than the middle class if like
by
every
bringing racism back?
Yeah, well, they have to bring, well, actually, it's like, so he argues in this book that the way that you do that is by becoming obsessed with like the bottom. So suddenly the criminal is.
Hold on, but there's no person more obsessed with the bottom than Jay.
None. Absolutely nobody. And I think going from the bottom up, it really shows you appreciation, especially It really does. I mean, if you really want to love a woman, if you're really all for womanhood, you start from the bottom up.
You got to start with the bottom. That's the
how you
direct
do it.
route to their heart. It's from the
Everyone
bottom
else
up to the heart.
Is their talk is full of shit unless they go
Exactly.
from the bottom up. That's
Mujahed,
exactly what it is.
Your mom is here.
Happy birthday, mother. The world thanks you.
The world. Okay. All right, Batya, back to your point.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like briefly, like the argument he makes is that you start to see this worship of like people who are like criminals or drug addicts or homeless people, because that's how you show that you're not one of these lame-o middle-class people who just believes that like Dr. King was right and like racism is bad and everyone should live in dignity. You know, like, so
Right.
they become like obsessed with like, you know, like the criminal element. It becomes their guiding shining light because it's so bourgeois to think that criminals should be in jail or that like Hamas are terrorists, right?
Right.
So bourgeois to think like, right? So
right.
they have to, yeah.
And there's a nice podcast, I think, with Jordan Peterson, with a professor from Harvard who wrote a article about this subject as well, with wokeism being really part of elitism to show that you are better than the average American. So like you go to a working class Latino and you say Latinx and they don't understand it, then you go around with your nose up high thinking you're well educated compared to the rest of the people. And I think this distinction too, just because you go to university and you learn these words that mean absolute fucking jack shit to do anything to better society doesn't mean you're a well-educated person.
Totally.
Talking about who's uneducated and well-educated and shit, that's another label that they like to put in order to put them in a different class from other people. Just because you say you're educated and you vote this way means you're better than the uneducated that vote this way is absolute horseshit. And the way the media plays that type of stuff as well just expands it. So all this people who live in, you know, gated communities in Bel Air or in gated communities all around the United States that like to start talking about racism, gender and all of these transgenderism. Sorry, I've been drinking. In ways that make absolutely no sense. Like, for example, gender affirming care. That is the most retarded thing as a physician you can do is affirm a belief a child has on something like gender. Like what?
Especially if
it's affirming care. Like if somebody wants to be a unicorn and we affirm their fucking delusion.
You don't let a
unicorn
child decide their bedtime. You don't let a child decide what they're going to eat for dinner. How the fuck are you going to let a child decide their gender?
Because it's woke. Because it's woke now. So these educated people are pushing for children the age of 7 to chop their dicks off. Like it makes no sense to call these people educated. Zero.
Okay, so I just want to pump the brakes on this real quick because we actually brought Batya on to talk about Afghanistan 1 year later, and she has a heart out in literally 12 minutes. So we wanted to make sure we talk about this. So Afghanistan withdrawal happened a year ago, the very day that the suicide bombing happened at Kabul airport, where 13 U.S. service members died and dozens upon dozens of Afghan civilians died due to ISIS-K. We had a chance to actually talk about it that night with you, Batya. And we had our producer, Spencer, go back and actually find some clips. I haven't watched them yet. I've seen the whole episode today. I went back and watched it. So I want to see what he cut. So anything that he puts out of context, we'll fire him for you. So don't worry.
Yes, absolutely. Don't worry about it.
This is
He's fired already.
He's already fired.
And I think, and I'm very curious what you guys think about this. Like, to me, what we're seeing now with ISIS-K is like how fundamentally at odds the Taliban sees its objectives from the objectives of a group like ISIS-K. Right? Like the Taliban now is sort of invested in this, so like that they want to do nation building, or they need to prove to people that they can govern, right? Like they are at war with ISIS-K, right? Like, so the idea that they are likely to now harbor ISIS fighters when like they're now starting this whole conflagration between them. I just feel like that's kind of not likely. But what do you guys think?
Okay, so Batya, of all the takes that you've had, why wasn't that ratio harder?
You're right.
So I was thinking to myself, why are they inviting me on again? Like, I love this show. I would come on every week, but they'd ignore me until, it's a year anniversary to when I was like the most wrong in my life. But
Batya, we give you one, and then we take one. Basically,
Exactly.
The last one.
No, honestly,
the next time we have you on is to literally promote your promotion to CNN hosting Batya Sources.
Reliable sources.
First of all, nothing I said there is not true. ISIS-K is not actually in power in Afghanistan. It is actually that's true.
But,
right?
But is the Taliban at war? Like, is the Taliban like seeking to expel terrorists from Afghanistan?
Well, there's no evidence that there is now a new hotbed of ISIS-K in Afghanistan, right? Like that's
okay, because the Taliban are bad.
Well, because the Taliban are already the terrorists that are hotbedding there.
So here's the thing. So a New York Times journalist went to, has spent a lot of time in Afghanistan, and what he found was he was doing a lot of reporting around that, they kept saying girls are going to be allowed to go to school, girls are going to be allowed to go to high school, right? And then the girls showed up on the first day and they were sent home. The doors were locked, right? And it was very horrible and sad. So he went around to all of the sort of high up in Kabul, guys in the Taliban. Mm-hmm. And he said to them oh, why didn't this happen? And 201, they were like, we were counting on that to happen. You think we don't want our daughters to be educated? We do. There's now currently a conflict between the Taliban in Kabul and the Taliban in the rural villages. Okay. Now, this may sound like pro-Taliban propaganda from the New York Times. Lord knows I have my criticism of the New York Times. But, that seemed to me to track with, first of all, what most importantly, no, I'm kidding, but what I was saying then, but also yes, too soon to tell. We'll find out if that reporting is BS or not.
Right.
But even if it is, I still feel that it's hard to say this, but the Taliban has more legitimacy to be ruling Afghanistan than we did. So what do you do with that information?
That's not invalid.
That's not invalid at all.
You guys agree with that? You agree with that?
Right,
yeah,
and we're firing Spencer.
We're firing Spencer because he obviously did not.
He didn't understand the assignment whatsoever.
Hold on. Let's give Spencer.
Let's give him a chance.
Let's give him a chance to redeem himself. Let's watch a shorter clip.
You have no legitimacy to be there. They have more legitimacy to be there than we do. And we're trying to leave. So it's we need their help to get out of there. And they actually want us to get out. So it's our interests are actually aligned. They did not want this ISIS-K thing to happen, right? Our interests are totally aligned. They want us out.
Spencer's fired. He's absolutely fired. This is none of this is what we were talking about. I know Spencer. He's fired.
Hold on. Can I just say something? I was so drunk, and I can't believe how smart I sound in retrospect because I was you guys were drinking me under the table. I was I have to keep up with them, so I kept drinking every time. Mujahed took a sip, I took a sip, and I still sound so smart. None of that's wrong.
because Spencer cut it in your favor, not the other way around. The guy didn't understand the fucking assignment here. Jesus Christ. Because
after this,
what it was,
if Spencer ruins this last clip, which is only 11 seconds, I swear to God, I'm sending him to Afghanistan.
It's ruined. Yes. Not only do they need their jobs taken away from them, this needs even worse. And it's showcasing that we don't give a shit about our allies whatsoever.
Okay, that was the only. I don't understand what's. We have literally the worst fucking interns. We have the worst interns ever.
The worst ever.
I think Ben was the worst. I literally said to interns, I told my list intern, I said, Ben, you are so bad at your job, you make Spencer look like Steve Jobs.
And this is this is the opposite now. This is showcasing the opposite because what we were talking about, what we were really heated about was defending the way the withdrawal happened.
Right. So so
that was the thing. Like defending the way that it had, like nobody is saying that they didn't have legitimacy. Nobody was saying any of that. We were agreeing on all of that shit.
On that, I was totally wrong. I felt at the time that there's no neat way to end a shitty, unjustified 20-year occupation. But in retrospect, you were right that there was a lot the Biden administration could have done better. And I was totally wrong about that. And you were both totally right about that. And I'm not embarrassed to admit that.
No,
Right.
and you're
So
intellectually. I mean, Batya, what I respect about you is that you're intellectually honest, and most people cannot admit.
But what I respect about you is that you were right from the beginning. And so you did not need to be intellectually honest because you were not challenged because you were right from the beginning.
Well, I'm sure I've been wrong on many things,
Me
and
too.
it's led me down to this path where I'm currently on. If
I'm
I
always
wasn't
right.
wrong,
I don't know what this feeling is. Where you're
what
wrong.
is this? What is
I
this
don't,
feeling
I
of
don't even
wrongness?
understand it.
So a year later, it's still would. I mean,
Wait,
I mean,
Siraj,
there was a report.
is there anything that you feel that you got wrong or no? You were like, no, I was pretty right.
So this is the one thing where I look back on and I think, man, I really should have fucking called that, from the get-go. And that is honestly, basically, when it comes to Afghanistan, there seems to be no right way to get out for sure.
Right.
But I think what I was unwilling to say was that we should have stayed like longer. We should have just let our troops just occupy. I don't think I was I don't know if that was the right call to make. Because like honestly, maybe things would have panned out differently if the United States still had presence in Afghanistan, but obviously we'll never know.
At the very least, until every American is out. I mean, it's a year later and we still have 800 Americans stranded there. When they and the thing is, the thing that I find amazing is how they treat the lies coming out of the administration about what happened. They lied about it being vetted properly. They lied about it being because it wasn't vetted properly. It wasn't. The people who came over here, not the people we wanted to stay.
And also like having Pakistan sort of like basically being like the safe space for all the terrorists go to when they're trying to get out of Afghanistan, Pakistan's ISI and the government basically, I mean, look how they tried the CIA informants after Osama bin Laden, they God rest his soul, got Allah yarhamu. I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, I look back on like I feel like the United States probably could have been a little bit more forceful on Pakistan. But
Pakistan.
I like
how you have to say it, Pakistan.
But like again,
Pakistan.
like that's just my view because like the Pakistani government's been shit. But Batya, we only have a few more minutes. Let's end the show on a happy note because I know you have a heart out. What is it that you think is going to happen? What's your 2022 forecast? What's like your big prediction happening for the rest of the year?
I don't know. What's yours?
Well, up until now, I thought that we were going to go into full-on monkeypox lockdown, but since I already got it,
No.
No, I didn't get it. I went to the hospital. Everybody thought I thought it went. I got monkeypox. It was a bacterial infection, not monkeypox. Wink,
I
wink.
texted my one of my very, very closest friends is a doctor, and I was at the gym the other day, and suddenly I was like, "Oh my God, is it here?" And I texted her. I was like, "I'm at the gym. Can I get monkeypox?" And she texted back, and she was like, "Are you having anal sex in the locker room?"
Are you licking the bikes? Are you licking the seats? I mean, I do that and I haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, but Jay's also built up an immunity to these things, so
I believe I have. Honestly, I think monkeypox would just be kicked out of me by that time.
So I guess we could confidently say that Batya has not been to a piss orgy at least yet. My big prediction, though, is now thinking, honestly, I don't think there's going to be a red wave. I think we're probably going to see a 2018 midterm election type of slide where, like, yes, the House is going to flip, but I think Democrats might hold on to the Senate.
I try not to predict anything because I always end up being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
See Spencer's clips.
Those are not run fucking Spencer.
Yeah, those are like the worst clips he pulled in which he made you look the
It
best.
made no sense.
Yeah. God.
Well, hopefully, my next book will come out and people will stop.
Can you tell
spreading-
us? Can you give us like a teaser, like what this one's about?
Oh, yeah. It's about like who is the American working class and do they still have access to the American dream?
This guy. Well, I wouldn't say I'm working class, but I'm.
He's a working ass.
I work hard, damn it. But I'm.
He has that working ass.
Yes, I do.
I don't know,
Batya,
Mujahed, you give vibes of like someone who's pretty financially secure.
I mean, he is Arab. If you haven't noticed. Batya, when is that book supposed to be released? When
No, it's long in the future. It's probably not 2022,
okay.
but I'm hoping to get like the message out. Like, people are just like Americans are a lot less polarized than everybody thinks, and
okay.
I'm hoping.
Well, we very much look forward to reading it and having you on the show.
Eat ass in the monkeypox pandemic.
That's honestly, it's a void that needs to be filled.
Absolutely.
Batya, any last plugs that you want to make? I mean, obviously you can find her on Twitter at Batya Ungar-Sargon, but like anything else, any final words before we obviously send you to Afghanistan?
Nothing. Just that your audience should stick with you guys because you're the best. Thank you so much for having me. It is always so fun to see you guys.
So good to see you too, Batya. And hopefully next time we'll have you on for longer. You don't have to rush off and go do all of your mainstream stuff. By the way, congrats on that Fauci interview.
Oh shit!
I really wish you basically asked them about eating ass, but of course that's
another time.
That's another time. That's the second interview.
Next time.
All right, Batya, thank you so much for joining us. And Habibis, thank you so much for joining us on Habibi Power Hour. We'll see you next time. Peace. Masalama.